Hello everybody and welcome to this week's edition of Pinto's Preview here on 740thefan.com and KFGO.com. Well, the NDSU football team, it's homecoming weekend for them, and Missouri State University, the Bears from Springfield, have been the opponent chosen for the homecoming game. NDSU and Missouri State, overall series record right now, NDSU leads it 3-2, but those two games have really stood out because Missouri State in the last 5 years has only had one season of above 500 overall record. So Missouri State not actually a really good team in the last 5 years, but they've played really well against NDSU. We'll get into that in one of my 3 points, but first we'll look back at last week's game for NDSU, a victory over UNI. It was 23-10 in favor of the Panthers going into the fourth quarter against the Bison, but the running attack and a good job by the defense to shut out yet again another opponent in the fourth quarter allowed NDSU to come back and get the victory on a late touchdown by Sam Ojuri. The 24-23 win over the number 4 Panthers puts NDSU firmly in that number 1 spot, not only in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but in the nation as the number 1 team overall. So NDSU a big win over Northern Iowa, and the Panthers now need to regroup. They'll probably be playing the rest of the season without their middle linebacker and star defensive player Jake Farley. Broke a leg on that last game-winning drive for NDSU. So Panthers, like I said, need to regroup and move forward. But for NDSU, now in the second half of the schedule, it's all about avoiding the letdown. First opponent, of course, is Missouri State. The first point I want to make is how this game looks to be the classic trap game. NDSU's coming off a big win against Northern Iowa, a ranked opponent, and a Missouri Valley rival game. You also have the fact that NDSU's been on this 6-week high from ESPN's College Game Day to beating Kansas State to all the national publicity. It's really tough to kind of look now and go, boy, we have Missouri State this week, a team that comes in at 1-5, but the Bears, 3-2 overall record. They've won twice against NDSU, once in the Fargo Dome, and once, of course, back in 2010 when NDSU essentially was playing for their playoff lives, went down, laid a big egg, lost 3-0 to the Missouri State Bears. So they have the opportunity here, if you're the Bears, to come in and really surprise a lot of people. Missouri State does turn over the ball quite a bit, but they do capitalize on a lot of mistakes by their opponents. So if you're NDSU, the way to avoid a classic trap game and beat Missouri State and beat them easily is run the ball and run the ball effectively. So expect NDSU to do that. The second point I want to make is NDSU in the fourth quarter has been pretty unbelievable this year. In 5 games, they have yet to allow a point. And in fact, last week was the first time they allowed points in the first quarter of a game. 2 field goals for Northern Iowa. So far, in both the beginning and the end, NDSU has been great in both those areas. Start the game fast, end the game on a strong note. A lot has to be given to NDSU and their ability to hold on to the ball in the fourth quarter through running, time possession. They get first downs. But again, the defense has come out and they've held opponents scoreless. That's a big factor going into this game, because if it's close through 3 quarters, say NDSU's only up 6, maybe 7 points, they'll be able to pull away. You got to give a lot of credit to the conditioning, a lot of credit to the strength of this NDSU, not only offensive line but defensive line as well, to be able to wear down the opponent. And again, fourth quarter, NDSU is dominated. Do not expect that to change against Missouri State. Expect NDSU to pull away in this game come fourth quarter time. The third point I want to make is Missouri State and 2 players, one on offense and one on defense, guys that you need to be looking for and listening for. First, on defense, Caleb Schifitzel, the safety for this team, an all-Missouri Valley Conference player last year. Actually had 2 interceptions of Brock Jensen down in Springfield in NDSU's 21-17 victory over the Bears. Had 1 return for a touchdown in that game as well. He's a good athlete. Think Colton Hegel type, but better coverage skills. He's a guy you're going to be listening for. Also on offense, Kiara Harris, the quarterback, a dual-threat quarterback. Guy has 11 total touchdowns so far this year, 7 of them on the ground. So if NDSU can contain him and keep it out of the hands of Schifitzel, they're going to be okay. But look for those 2 guys from Missouri State. The X factor for this game is NDSU safety Colton Hegel. Like I said, Harris is a dual-threat quarterback. He's going to break contain, and there's going to be chances in the open field for him to make a big play. That's where Colton Hegel comes in. If he's able to stop Harris in open field tackling, he's not going to be able to have that big of a game. So if Colton Hegel can track the quarterback, keep him reduced to maybe a 5-yard game from scrambling, NDSU is going to be just fine. But I think that's going to be up to Colton Hegel. Expect him to come out and have a big game tackling-wise, especially when Harris gets into that secondary part of the field. So, again, look for Colton Hegel as the X factor in this game. Finally, my prediction. I have NDSU winning this game 38-17. Now, I know everybody's saying, but you said on Bison Central, a classic trap game, and I did. It's going to be tight through 3 quarters. I think going into the third quarter, NDSU is going to hold a slim margin, but they dominate the fourth quarter. So expect them to pull away in this game by burying the Bears with their run offense. With that being said, NDSU will make the score appear as if the game was much easier to win than it really will be. Missouri State's a tough opponent. The 1-5 record does not show that. They're going to come out. They're going to be fired up. They know the success they've had against NDSU. Again, don't be surprised if this game is tight through 3. But by the end, NDSU wins 38-17. For Pinto's preview on 740thefan.com and KFGO.com, I'm Daniel Gunderson.